Sorry, guys. I don't know why it took so long for this thing to get going, but it did. I went and restarted my computer, and it was like super, super slow. But I'm up now, so sorry that I'm late. We'll get started very soon. What's up, Danny? I like how Danny said H. Wait, what? Why does it just say H there on the thingy? Weird. Oh, good. Oh no! Stop it. There. Phew. Almost got some feedback. Truffle says, sounds good. I'll have to try and listen in while I eat dinner. You know what would be an amazing request? You reading a Care Bears book or a Barrington Bears book in the style of Glab, or or even a Charlie Brown holiday special book. I agree. Someone needs to request that shit. I think what we can do I think what we can do is actually have some new like code words like glab. Okay. So you can request a certain thing in glab. For anyone who doesn't know, glab is German. Was it German Lizard audiobook? Yeah, that's what it is, glab. So we need to come up with like a key of certain things so that you can request whatever it is that you want in specific styles. That would be amazing. Oh wait, I forgot. I gotta. Yeah, my camera's not looking good here. Where is it? Webcam. There it is. I don't know why, but I have to every single time I have to reset my camera to the right resolution. Damn, dude, I got a helmet going on. My hair's terrible right now. It grows too quick, guys. It grows too quick. I'm just gonna have a fro for today. Nothing I can do about it at this point. 4 people watching on Facebook. See, I can look. I can look once in a while. Thanks for hanging out with us on Facebook and on Twitch. I'm gonna get started here pretty quick. Get my stool ready. The kind you sit on, not the kind that maybe came to your mind at first. Let's see. Maybe I just come a little closer there. There we go. Tilt the camera down a little bit. All right, we're good. We're good. Blickety blam. All right. We're live. Sound Booth Theater live, y'all. How did German Lizard even come about? um, let's see. Was it okay? So it wasn't Space Raptor Butt Invasion, where I made up the German Lizard. I don't think. I think it was when I read Know Thy Enemy for like I don't know the fourth or fifth time for Don Chapman. Um, I was doing lizard voices for her lizard creatures, And then so I don't know, someone suggested I do German. I don't remember exactly how it came about, but I definitely did a German lizard voice for a space raptor butt invasion for the raptor. Yeah, so I don't know. In the it just became a thing. Glab. All right, so good to see you guys. Thanks for coming to hang out. Sorry about the late start, but we're about ready to do some requests here. Our first request is going to be a healer's gift by, okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Tao Wong. Is it Tao or Tao? Because I know like there's the Tao and it's spelled with a T, but I don't know if it applies to names as well. Um, oh, okay, awesome, Daniel. I'm glad to have you for however long you can be here. So yeah, healer's gift. That's going to be the first one. Let's see. I can't remember what that. I mean, that was like the top one. That was the one that got requested the most or got the most votes. I can't remember which one was second or third, but both of them were second and third by wide margins. So I think I'll just pick this one, Quest into Hidden Realms, which I think it came out a couple weeks ago, and it did really well when it first came out. I think it's still ranked in the top 2,000 somewhere, so it still seems to be doing well. Um, Canadian tea. Dave says it's a Canadian tea for Tao or Dow. I don't know what the Canadian tea is. Um, Maybe I should do a Canadian lizard audiobook collab. Anyway. Oh, okay. All right. I'm dumb. Okay, so Danny says, hold on, let me get my iPad so I can look at the chat without having to. Well, I can just do this. Okay, City of Champions was second, so I guess I'll do that one second. All right, but yeah, this is the cover for City of Champions. I think he could use a better cover than that, but it works, I guess. I mean, I think this book is relatively successful. I'm not sure. I didn't do too much research on it, but those are our three requests for today. So let me get started here. I'm going to get on Healer's Gift. All right, so I got an email a while back. Let me find it. Pretty sure I did. City of Champions. Luckless. Here we go. All right, so a Healer's Gift, Adventurers on Brad. I guess Brad is the name of a planet or a world. Get out of here, ads. I still have not. Let me. Okay, I still have not gotten a new program for looking at these docs and PDFs. Bad organizational skills. I should, you know what I should do? I should just do it as soon as the stream is over. Just get on my Kindle and figure out how I can get a better app for reading docs and PDFs, because this one just sucks. It gives me ads. Are you kidding me? Ads? Ads for this kind of thing? It's insane. I don't even know. I think it comes on the Kindle. Danny's asking what program I'm using. I think it came on the Kindle. I didn't download it myself. It just. Kindles kind of suck anyway, to be honest. Like the Kindle Fires. That's what I always read on. I mean, I got them because they're cheap. I remember when I bought the first one I ever got, it was like $60. think the most I ever spent on a Kindle Fire was like $80, $90. But that's a mistake. I think I need to upgrade to an actual decent tablet to read off of and just leave it in my booth. But anyway, okay, so here goes. Healer's Gift by Dao Wong. I hope he's here to hang out and listen. Danny says, you have an iPad, why not try using that? Well, I might try using that. Alright, Daniel, 21 years old, most of the time confident, but soft-spoken. He's not assertive most of the time. Okay. Guards, they are typical non-aggressive guards. Have been doing this a lot, so they are rather bored. Imagine the tone when doing the same speech thousands of times, okay? Asin, young, she's 16 years old. Female catkin. Oh, okay, that's a female. She has a huge problem speaking Brad because she's very animalistic. And her throat doesn't really work to hit the right notes. So her voice is going to come out grating, harsh a bit because of that. She's also got a slightly caustic/wry sense of humor and occasionally a world-weary demeanor. Alright, this sounds like fun already. Alright.
Listen up, children.
The guard in front of the dungeon entrance stares at the group of adventurers before him. The beginner adventurers grouped around vary in size and clothing, though most are in their mid to early teens and sport a single weapon, most often a short sword. The adventurers are mostly human, though Daniel spots a pair of beastkin and even one dwarf in this group.
This is your first time, so I strongly recommend you stick to the first floor, says the guard. If you do manage to find the stairway to the second floor, you may go down, but only to access the transportation gym. That'll allow you to travel to the second floor directly when you are ready to take it on. The number one cause of adventurer deaths is overconfidence, so don't think about going down to the second floor until you clear the entire first floor. Never start a new floor uninjured. It's the fastest way to get yourself killed. Remember, the guild buys mana stones of all sizes, so make sure to collect every single drop that you get. The blacksmiths have asked me to remind all of you not to bring kobold shanks back. They don't want them or need them. Any questions?
Keep her away from Blaze. Oh, that's funny. Barely waiting for the adventurer's answers, the guard steps aside and waves them into the dungeon. Gripping his mace in hand, Daniel nods his thanks one last time before stepping in, hand slightly clammy on the grip of his mace. On entrance, Daniel is immediately greeted by a simple stone room lit by the sunlight behind and the soft white glow characteristic of the dungeon's mana-imbued walls. Okay. Uh-oh. Comment. Okay. That's very short. Okay. Grinning slightly, Daniel shifts his big bag once more to ensure it is properly seated before following the sole corridor that leads into the dungeon proper. The exit immediately splits into 3 earthen passageways, and Daniel pauses, listening for the movements of the other adventurers before choosing the middle pathway. As he moves deeper, a mental mini-map of the dungeon begins to form in his mind from the mapping proficiency. Daniel had gained that option as a minor like most others and chose to level it up rather than Daniel had gained that option as a minor like most others and chose to level it up Daniel had gained that option as a minor like most others and chose to level it up rather than other more traditional mining proficiencies. After all, he had no intention of being a miner. You never wanted to be lost in the dark. I wonder what other adventurers do, mused mused Daniel. Oh, okay, someone's saying something about the Kindle ads. Just FYI, the ads on Kindle are one of two license actions. The less expensive, the same other option is only $20 when purchased to have ad-free. You can change your license to be ad-free whenever you want. Okay, so I'm not sure if that applies to the actual to the ads that are on the actual app that I'm using, though. I think that's just for... So if you buy the Kindle with that, like, $10 reduction in the price, there's always going to be an ad when the Kindle is locked, just, like, right on the front. So every time you open it up, the ad's there, and then you swipe and it goes away. Hopefully that's not the case with their dock viewer, but maybe I will go turn those off, because I mean, it's like, yeah, $20, $10. I don't know how much it is. Sorry. Okay. Spending time thinking about inconsequential things like that is never a good idea in a dungeon. A fact that Daniel finds out to his chagrin when he turns a corner and walks into a kobold. A runt even among its kind, the 3-foot-tall creature looks like a gray, gangly, slightly malnourished child, clad in peasant garb other than its rather elongated ears and 2 wide eyes. Somehow, even after Mary's description, the kobold looks nothing like he had pictured it to be. The kobold reacts first, thrusting his only weapon, a shank made of metal and bone, into Daniel's chest. It hits hard, plunging through cloth and skin and grating against a rib. Daniel jumps backwards, groaning in pain as he feels blood begin to dribble from the wound, waving his mace to ward off the kobold. Taking to the offense, Daniel lashes out once and then again, the kobold scurrying backwards and staying out of range of his attacks. As Daniel recovers from his swings, the kobold darts in and attempts a stab. Only a last-minute, hasty swing by Daniel forces the kobold to stop his own attack or have his arm crushed. Daniel again steps forwards, attempting to strike the kobold, who dances back and swings at Daniel's arm, nicking him. This fight is completely different from his earlier sparring matches with Mary. The kobold is smaller and more prone to feints and is focused on short, quick strikes to Daniel rather than a single painful attack. As blood continues to squeeze out from his open wound, Daniel pushes forward to finish the fight. He throws another overhand right, and then as the kobold ducks, charges forward and activates the double strike, his mace swinging faster as the proficiency activates. The first attack from the left is blocked, but using the force of the block, Daniel swings the mace around to strike on the kobold's unprotected right side. The mace crunches into the kobold's shoulder, cracking bone and mashing muscle. Panicking, the kobold pulls itself away from the adventurer and attempts to stab his attacker again with its shank. This time, Daniel is ready, though, and smashes his mace onto the kobold's outstretched attacking hand, crushing fingers and forcing the monster to drop its weapon. As the kobold recovers, Daniel swings again, delivering a critical strike on the top of the kobold's head to deliver a fatal blow. 1 moment later, the body dissolves into acrid smoke, leaving behind a small mana crystal. Daniel barely pays attention, slumping into the corner and holding a hand over his wound as he chain casts. Daniel barely pays attention, slumping into the corner and holding a hand over his wound as he chain casts minor healing on himself. It's only when the bleeding stops that he pays attention to the notifications he received during the battle. Critical hit. 29 damage dealt. Kobold killed. Minor healing cast on Daniel. 14 hit points restored. Minor healing cast on Daniel. 10 hit points restored. Bleeding has stopped. Seeing nothing important in the information, Daniel dismisses it and resolves to stop looking at such information. Daniel bends to pick up the dropped mana crystal, looking around warily before heading deeper into the dungeon. He'd used over nearly a third of his mana already and had just started. He'd used over nearly a third of his mana already, and he had just started. For the first time, he begins to truly understand Mary's point. A half-dozen kobolds later and a chance meeting with one other adventurer, Daniel has found the staircase down. The other battles since the first one have gone quite well, with little additional damage dealt to him and has bolstered his flagging confidence. As long as he paid attention with his skill and level, he should be able to deal with a single kobold. Unlike most newbie adventurers, this was not his first class, and as such, his health was significantly higher than theirs. Of course, he had paid a price in time. Most adventurers who survived to his age were much higher level than him and would not even consider stepping into a beginner dungeon. Confident and impatient, Daniel makes a decision and takes the steps down, ignoring the guard's advice. Dave Wilmarth asks, how bored do you get reading stat pages and combat logs? I don't get bored, actually, reading those. Usually, it's more like I'm trying to solve a puzzle in that I'm doing my best to make it clear and not boring to listen to. I know I don't really... It's taken me a second to figure it out, but I think I've got a better formula than I used to. I used to think more about making it clear than anything, and I didn't try to go faster, because I thought that would make it unclear. But it wasn't until I actually listened to someone else handle it, Luke Daniels, when I realized reading it fast doesn't make it hard to understand at all. I mean, at first I was thinking, like reading it relatively slow would be a better thing because, like listening to stats, I would think that at first what I thought was, it would take them a second to like, okay, so what is this? Health, this much, okay? Strength, this much. It's like, I don't know, I thought people would need more time to process the stats before, but that turned out not to be the case. When I was listening to Luke Daniels, he was just reading them off like this, and it was like, oh, I followed right along. Maybe it's just because I'm used to listening to LitRPGs or used to the format. Because I was also thinking about people who don't listen to LitRPGs or who are new to LitRPG, right? So, I don't know. But to me, it's not a boring thing to read the stats. It really isn't. Oh, what's up? Truffles made it. Let me see if there's anybody. Oh, there's 5 people watching on Facebook. That's cool. Yeah, I think that's the consensus, or at least the vast majority of people want it read quickly. So, yeah, and a lot of them. Yeah, I'm finding that out, and I mean, especially like Super Sales on Superheroes, which has tons of stats, um, tons of tables and stuff. That was like the one thing that everyone complained about was the stats, or was all the tables and numbers and being bored of that. So, excuse me. But yeah, next book I'm gonna fix that. I'll be trimming it down and finding the essential stuff and reading it faster. So I don't want any more. I want Super Sales to be like a 4.999 rating. It's like 4.7, which is really good for something that's sold so much, like with so many ratings. But I want it to be 4.9 on the regular for book 2. Okay, sorry. So that was a chapter break for a healer's gift. Sorry about going on a little tangent there, but when you guys ask questions, I like to engage with you. Okay. So Daniel did what he wasn't supposed to do, and he went down to the next dungeon. All right. Some old guy named Drick. Some old guy named Rick. Rick, so most narrators won't change anything. They just assume I'm going to 100% go with the text. I, however, will talk to the author about it and ask them if I can make changes. And sometimes the author will, for instance, Nevin Iliev, he brought it up in the first place. He's like, hey, let's truncate these stats a bit and skip some stuff in the stats because in audio it's not going to be as good. So yeah, it just depends on the narrator that you're working with, but I'm always willing to change stuff about the text. I mean, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the tables. The way that I do voices voices are so distinct and it's so easy to pick out the characters that a lot of the times I'll tell the author, hey, I'm going to be taking out some dialogue tags and stuff just to make it run a little bit smoother, and they really appreciate that. So anyway, back to Daniel. Okay, so someone says no. Who is saying no? Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to use, speaking of super sales, I'm going to just use Andrea's voice for, what's her name? For a scene. I'm assuming that's who this is. That's showing up here. No. Daniel jerks to a stop, pulling his foot back from the step he was about to take. He turns to survey the area, only then spotting the figure seated on an outcropping of a few feet. To his right. He frowns. The cloaked figure in an extremely dirty cloak is tiny, but looks utterly relaxed. It is his first day on the 5th floor, and so far it has been every bit as frustrating as the 4th, if not more so. Traps, delays, surprise attacks, and more. He hunches down, trying to spot the problem while he speaks. Why? Trap. I figured. Daniel huffs and then takes a hold of his irritation. Thank you. But what kind of trap is it? Deadfall. Seeing Daniel's puzzled face, she points up. He looks up and eyes the stalactite before slowly taking a deep step back. A single ball has already rolled over the ground, part of the precautions he uses, so he pulls two now and rolls both at the same time down the corridor. What? A single ball has already rolled over the ground, part of the precautions he uses, so he pulls two now and rolls both at the same time down the corridor. What the hell? Oh, I see. I guess. Okay. This time, the pressure is sufficient to cause the trap to trigger and one other trap further down the corridor. Noisy. Hands raised to its head, the other adventurer hops down lightly next to Daniel. The figure before him surprises Daniel for a brief moment. The beastkin an uncommon sight, though he knew that they made up a higher proportion of the adventuring population than their minority numbers would lead one to believe. Standing just slightly shorter than his own 5'8", he notes, Standing just slightly shorter than his own 5'8", he notes it is a feline beastkin with black fur and wide, jade eyes. She leans forward, her whiskers tickling his face from her slightly elongated muscle, as she sniffs him before dropping down from her tiptoes, her close proximity giving him a quick whiff of her fragrant musk. A part of him notes that she looks more animalistic than many others, more like a grown jaguar forced to walk upright than a human with cat features. From his time in the city, he knew that the beastkin varied greatly in their appearance, though many leaned towards the more human in appearance. The female adventurer points down the way, indicating the leftmost branch as she continues to speak.
"Hive! Help!"
Okay, what are you guys saying here? He uses balls to trigger traps. Oh, okay, he should use chickens. They work better. I agree. And if you end up attacking one, Lord have mercy on your soul. Everyone knows chicks act... What? Bait and survive traps better than anything else. Rubber chicken on a You guys are assholes. You're distracting me. I'm trying to read a story here.
"Hive! Help!"
He puzzles over her words for a few moments before he realizes she's asking him to join up to deal with the hive. Daniel has only run across a small hive once before, and the fight had left him drained and injured. A half-dozen crawlers, even with his new armor, had nearly been his undoing.
"Maybe? How many? 1, 2... Many?"
She pauses, watching him wince before grinning at her own joke.
9.
He snorts, brown eyes tightening in thought as he runs the odds in his head.
"Yeah, okay."
She grins widely at him, stepping forward and leading the way. When he gets to the balls, Daniel picks them both up, noting one is badly chipped. He sighs, realizing he might need to go shopping again soon as his stock is nearly depleted. It takes a short 10 minutes for them to make their way to the hive. Peering in, Daniel grimaces and looks at his new companion to speak about strategies. Daniel is too late, though, and he just catches the quick movements of the catkin as she ducks past him, already throwing knives at the crawlers. Wow. Daniel groans, rushing forward to attack the nearest monster, noting it's been blinded already by the uncannily accurate throws. He smashes his club down, crushing the carapace before booting the monster up, and then smashing it aside with his shield onto another incoming monster. The first monster slain, Daniel steps back, resetting his stance as he readies himself to fight the swarm of crawlers that have targeted him. In the corner of his eyes, he notes the catkin has swarmed up the side of the cavern and is throwing her knives to distract and injure the foes that rush him now, ignoring the pair that begins crawling up the wall to her. The blades are well aimed, most finding gaps in the carapace, but after even a few moments of fighting, Daniel judges that the throwing knives are no more than painful annoyances for these creatures. It will be up to him to finish their opponents off. Sliding to the right, he dodges a lunge by a crawler and activates Double Strike, smashing its legs on one side before he boots the creature away again. Another attack is caught on his shield, and he takes the time to shield bash this assailant, using its temporary... Another attack is caught on his shield, and he takes the time to shield bash this opponent... Another attack is caught on his shield, and he takes the time to shield bash this assailant, using its temporary disorientation to land a few more blows. Even as he finishes dealing with that monster, another one takes his first opponent's place, mandibles skittering off his armor as it fails to gain purchase. The battle is hard-pressed, the crawlers swarming Daniel at every turn. Forced to focus on damaging and hampering them, Daniel is unable to finish a kill as he continually moves and attacks. A bad step, though, has him lose balance for a precious moment, one that a crawler uses to attach itself to his leg and yank him off his feet. Its mandibles close on his shin, attempting to shatter the bone, delayed only for a brief period by his greaves. The catkins jump onto the creature from her perch, smashes it down, and she reaches forward, daggers plunging into the crawler's eyes. It releases Daniel, who scrambles back and onto his feet as the catkin jumps away, neatly avoiding an attack from behind. The remainder of the fight passes without further life-threatening incidents, and in the end, Daniel slumps amongst the bodies, sweat covering him and sticking his brown hair to his face. He pulls his helmet off to let it cool, noting that the catkin does not seem to be sweating at all. Then again, did cats sweat? After a brief rest, they work to collect the mana stones and the additional sack drops. Thankfully, they didn't need to haul the feces. The what? The feces? After a brief rest... Thankfully, they didn't need to haul the feces. What is Faeces? I'm gonna have to look that up. Feces. No. What's... Okay, it's the same thing. Feces, yep. Maybe a reference. Shit, it's a shit fairy. Doo-doo. Yep. Okay. Okay, so I don't understand what that means. Thankfully, they didn't need to haul the feces upstairs. The hired adventurers who worked for the guild did that with the broken-down exits where alchemists dissolved them again into their component parts to await the chemical sacks? What? Housekeeping done, Daniel turns to the catkin, who is busy cleaning her daggers with a cloth and water.
Thank you. More?
She points down the way while putting away her cloth amongst an impressive array of knives.
Why not?
Okay, so I don't know if I'm using Andrea's voice, but I don't know if it really fits this character.
More? More?
Maybe a little more gruffness.
More? More? I'm gonna try this one.
Actually, that's more like Beziibi, right? Don't want him to sound like Beziibi. Why haven't I partied up before? Daniel muses to himself as they exit the dungeon after a very successful day into a brisk winter weather. The catkin's ability to sense traps and sniff out the crawlers meant that he traveled faster and backtracked less today. On the other hand, more than once, he was able to help guide her around a faster entrance or exit due to his own mapping skill. And it was obvious, at least to Daniel, that the catkin had been having trouble fighting the crawlers. She could kill one or two on her own without issue, but on the 5th floor, the crawlers often came in larger numbers. Without the raw strength to shatter their carapace, the catkin must have been forced to fight a battle of slow attrition and great danger to herself. There was one thing that bothered Daniel about their partnership, though, and as the catkin heads off, he rushes forward to touch her on the shoulder. She snarls, hunching down and popping a pair of claws before realizing it's him and relaxing slightly, though she still backs away from the adventurer.
Sorry, I just don't know your name.
Daniel apologizes, pulling his hand back.
Asin,
she purrs, resting a hand on her chest. She points to him and mutters,
Daniel.
Yeah. He wonders how she knows his name, but dismisses it. You know,
we did pretty good last night. Do you want to do this again tomorrow?
Asin pauses, looking the young man up and down. Daniel was not unknown to her. The clinic was one of the few locations that took in beastkin for treatment, and as such, all the workers in the clinic had a level of notoriety among the beastkin community in Karlak. In addition, she has secretly watched the young man's progress for the last few days as he worked through the level. In truth, Daniel's judgments about her progress were spot on, and she had been considering traveling back up a floor to gain strength before attempting the 5th floor. All these thoughts pass through her head quickly before she nods affirmatively, waving goodbye to the young man as Asin heads into the guild to sell their collected loot.
I tell you, my cousin says there's been a lot of activity in the Borderlands this winter. Last time that happened, we saw raids all through the winter.
Ken expounds from his usual table. The guards around him nod in understanding, recalling that his cousin's a Griffin scout for the kingdom. While the guard was a loudmouth, he did not lie about the important things, and orc raiders were definitely important. Daniel waves to the group, catching the tail end of the conversation as he joins them at their table, a mug of beer in his hand. He plops down in his seat with a contented sigh, drawing deep of the beer.
Good day.
Unusually, it's Kurtzman who speaks first after the initial round of greetings as he spots the more relaxed mood the young man is in.
Yeah, it was. Did very well today. I met a catkin today, and we worked on clearing the 5th floor together. Finished off quite a few nests.
Daniel answers quite proudly. Working with Asin, Daniel had made more than today. Daniel had made more than today by a significant margin than any previous day, and they hadn't even spent the whole day working together. Wow, day, okay. He cannot wait for tomorrow. As such, Daniel isn't ready for their reactions.
Beastkin!
One guard spits to the side, the rest grimacing at his choice of companions. More than a few shake their head, their estimation of the young adventurer falling a little.
What? Why? What? Why?
What?
What? Why?
Daniel frowns, wondering what is up with his friends.
Look, we're not prejudiced or anything, Daniel, but we're guards, you know.
At Daniel's nod, Ken continues.
Beastkin? Well, they make up half our work for being such a small number. Seems like every time we turn around, we're catching another one of them We're catching another one of them kind and locking them up. They're just criminals, most of them. Petty thieves, swindlers, con artists, and more. They're either thieves or adventurers, and the adventurers aren't much better.
Just trouble. We should just kick them out,
grumbles another red-headed guard. Daniel frowns, staring at his friends, and considers their words. He wasn't a guard, so he couldn't talk about their experiences, but
she was real helpful to me. Knew where all the traps were and backed me up when I needed it. We made really good time.
Ken holds his hands up placatingly.
I'm sure she's good. There's always a few good ones. Just, the rest of them.
Somewhat mollified, Daniel turns his attention back to his meal, though a part of him is disturbed by the conversation, though the young adventurer is unsure what exactly that concerns him. Okay, so yeah, kind of an interesting book, but one problem that has is you just need a Tao or Dao. You need to find a good editor.
there's a lot of sentences in here that were just really hard to decipher while I was reading. Mainly grammar and punctuation issues, a little bit of word repetition within the sentence and within the paragraph, but it's got an interesting concept. So yeah, it was fun. Thanks for requesting it, and I hope you guys enjoyed that one. But yeah, I think this one did pretty well. You've got a sequel out too. If you guys liked that, go ahead and go to Kindle, look it up. A Healer's Gift, a LitRPG novel by Tao Wong. Tao Wong, Tao Wong. Yeah. So cool. Thanks for the request. And what's next? Okay, so we're gonna do City Champions Online next. It looks like. City of Champions Online. All right, and where do I find that in my email? Deep-a-dick-a-doo. I have a feeling that Tao Wong is that English is their second language, unless that was a translation. All right, Daniel, thanks for coming. See you later. Where is it? TL Underworld, no. Sorry, guys, I gotta find it. Here it is. City of Champions Online. By Stuart Grosse. All right, so I don't know anything about this one. Actually, there's something I... Is this the one that the last LitRPG podcast... never mind. I'm sure it's fine. All right, so City of Champions Online. And we're starting on Chapter 14 here. And he sent me some... character direction, which I love, thank you. Vampira, the MC and POV. Uh-oh. Alright, this is going to be real fun. In-game, she's a sassy black woman who got turned into a vampire in the tutorial and has been dealing with the fallout ever since. So consider her voice and attitude a lot like Foxy Love from the Drawn Together cartoon, dressed up in leather for some serious ass kicking like she was on Buffy or Angel, okay? Web Mistress is a technopath/hacker character. She's literally a human supercomputer, thinking and processing at 2,500 times human speed. Her costume is web-themed, which sometimes makes people think she's got spider powers instead of hacker powers. She's in her 20s and is from Atlanta, and is one of 2 white girls on the team. Temptress is a succubus, and really everything about her just screams sex. Think Shakira, but turned up to 11. Okay. Commander Thunder Falcon is a racist shithead, frat boy, misogynist, and likely to be seen wearing MAGA hats and shirts with white pride slogans in real life. Picture the campy superheroes like World War II Superman and dial that past 11, all with racist overtones. Okay. Phantasma is basically a female version of Martian Manhunter. She's not really a racist like most of Southern Pride, but they were the main group in the area, and she went along with the flow. Picture her with a Scarlett O'Hara accent. All right. I don't know. What's Southern Pride? I've never heard of that. Some kind of group? I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to grab my iPad. All right. Let's see here. I want to look up this Foxy Love. It's been a long time since I saw Drawn Together, which I actually liked a lot, by the way. But I can't remember how she... Oh, I'm starting to kind of remember what her voice sounds like.
Welcome back. I'm Drawn Together's Jew producer. One of the show's most colorful housemates, Foxy Love is the unofficial leader of the Drawn Together gang. Even when she leads them straight into trouble. Fearless in the face of danger or spontaneous lesbianism, she's a mystery-solving musician without a clue. Or a beat. But boy, does she have a sweet ass. Let's take a look at why fans of Drawn Together love Foxy Love.
You know, I really wish we had one of those hot black chicks.
Bling, bling. Foxy's in the house. Girl, Foxy Love is gonna teach you how to open up your...
Girl!
Joe.
Foxy Love!
Oh, my God. What is this thing in my mind? I could give you a tour of the whole factory.
And that is how
I forgot how wrong this show is.
Got a mayonnaise mama on my licking hoe, and we've only just begun.
Alright, need more of her voice here.
Oh, you want a party too, do you? So dang, baby. There's enough room down here for everybody.
For everybody.
What's wrong with you two? Can't you see I'm banging ass stroke?
Rice roll.
And sometimes a little exotic food place spices things up.
Little exotic foreplay. Spices things up. That was messed up, dude.
It's another Denzel Washington with two penises. Double down, Denzel. And sometimes
Alright. Alright. We had reconvened. Alright. I'm gonna try it. Guys. Alright, chapter 14 of City of Champions online. First person Foxy Love style. The whole show is messed up. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I'd forgotten until watching that. Alright. We had reconvened by the torch in Centennial Park when it became clear that things were going to get bad. Fast. Wehrmacht might be a weak little shit in terms of raw power, but there was that old saying about quantity having a quality all its own. If we couldn't locate Wehrmacht Prime, we would have to defeat an army of over 100,000 men. Webmistress was talking a mile a minute, and simultaneously doing at least 5 different tasks in the virtual world. Honestly, she made a supercomputer look sluggish at times with her data processing speed. I shuddered to think about what she could do if she overclocked herself, or took all the devices in her range and added them to her processing power. If anyone asked, I'd tell them straight up that she was the most dangerous one of us all. Information is power, after all. All right. How's it going? Is it sounding good? This includes... Who is this? I don't know who this quote is. Okay, Webmistress. Okay. All right, Webmistress. Okay. Human supercomputer. Okay, so no voice direction in particular. I have established communication links with all 945 active supers in the metro Atlanta area that are not members of Southern Pride or associated hate groups. This includes 323 active supervillains, most at the street or gang level. LitRPG is now in the loop. Mundane gangs and organizations in the city are coming online. I now own the emergency broadcast system, ready to transmit. I looked at the camera they were holding on me. I was the leader of the misfits, so they decided I should get the nod. To all people within the sound of my voice, the city of Atlanta is under siege. Terrorists related to Southern Pride and various neo-Nazi groups have assassinated the governor on orders from Lieutenant Governor Penny and Rebel Yell, or Southern Pride. The lieutenant governor has called on a supervillain named Wehrmacht to surround the city of Atlanta with over 100,000 stormtroopers. As we speak, hackers related to these hate groups are trying to shut off Atlanta from the rest of the country so they can isolate us and keep us from putting together a resistance until it is too late. The fact that you're hearing this message is proof that Atlanta's airwaves are still free. For now. As we speak, every news organization in the country is getting an information download on what has been happening in Atlanta over the last few months. The hackers and the employ of the hate groups will find that their accounts have been drained, their personal information and verified criminal actions sent to the FBI's cybercrime division and all major news networks, and their machines are currently going physically offline. My name... Oh. What? When did... Who's Vampira again? Oh, okay. That's right. She's the... So, is she supposed to be doing this speech thing? I'm a bit confused here. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, guys. I should have gotten a little more... sometimes I think too much about the voice, and so my reading comprehension goes out the window. I'm gonna start this over. I looked at the camera they were holding on me. I was the leader of the misfits, so they decided I should get the nod. To all people within the sound of my voice, the city of Atlanta is under siege. Terrorists related to Southern Pride and various neo-Nazi groups have assassinated the governor on orders from Lieutenant Governor Penny and Rebel Yell of Southern Pride. The lieutenant governor has called on a supervillain named Wehrmacht to surround the city of Atlanta with over 100,000 stormtroopers. As we speak, hackers related to these hate groups are trying to shut off Atlanta from the rest of the country, so they can isolate us and keep us from putting together a resistance until it is too late. The fact that you're hearing this message is proof that Atlanta's airwaves are still free. For now. As we speak, every news organization in the country is getting an information download on what has been happening in Atlanta over the last few months. The hackers in the employ of the hate groups will find that their accounts have been drained, their personal information and verified criminal actions sent to the FBI's cybercrime division and all major news networks, and their machines are currently going physically offline. My name is Vampira, and 5 members of Southern Pride, including Rebel Yell, attempted to assassinate me before they began their coup d'etat. They failed, and have been physically removed from play for the foreseeable future. The video of their attacks on me going back to Commander Thunder Falcon's attempted rape have now been made public and are available on YouTube at the address on the bottom of your screen. Whew, that's hard. To all civilians, heroes, and villains who wish to evacuate the city, we will be opening portals in Centennial Park to take you to a safe location. To those who wish to stay and fight, the Misfits and I will be engaging the enemy to buy time for the evacuation. Any individuals who wish to help send a text message or email to the address now showing on the screen, and you will be added to the tactical network. Currently, the largest concentration of the enemy is located by Stone Mountain and advancing towards the perimeter. Wehrmacht is a duplicator who creates many copies of himself, each of which is able to change its shape to mimic any human male of roughly equivalent mass to be original. Engage... When you said maybe just 2 fingers, not 3... Just watching the Foxy Love video made me think of something else that you were doing with the fingers rather than measuring scotch. Okay. Wehrmacht is a duplicator who creates many copies of himself, each of which is able to change its shape to mimic any human male of roughly equivalent mass to the original. Engage the duplicates with maximum force to disrupt them, and the bodies will fade away. Thank you for your time. This transmission ends. I took a breath as the camera turned off and looked to Webmistress. She nodded grimly and said, "The message was sent. I'm getting reports from gangs and supers located closer to the perimeter. They have engaged Wehrmacht. Atlanta Police Department is currently attempting to steer civilians who wish to evacuate towards us." I nodded. "Temptress, stay here and support Webmistress. Use your powers if you have to. Use your powers if you have to in order to keep the crowd orderly and calm. Webmistress, I'm counting on you to get as many people as you can onto that virtual server you mentioned. Just be aware. The portal device is experimental. I will need to devote part of my processing to monitor it and keep it from deviating from its set location." Excuse me. "Which is why Temptress is here to keep them off your back. Pyromaniac, Reptilian, we're going to spread out and try and bolster any resistance groups. The group coming from Stone Mountain is yours, Pyromaniac." Excuse me. "Try to avoid torching civilians and houses. Don't let them get close to you. Some of them may have guessed your weakness after that little wardrobe malfunction with the sprinklers last week. Rep, I need you to go west and try to slow them down as much as possible. I don't care what you have to do. Keep those bastards away from civilians. And where are you going to be?" Temptress. Temptress crossed her arms, waiting to see how one person was going to cover both the north and south sides of the city. I was about to speak when suddenly a massive ice storm kicked up to the south. The Wehrmacht in that area were slowing down and starting to take casualties as they approached the airport. It looks like someone has already taken the south. Webbs, you got any idea who that might be?" The super hacker actually sighed. "Yes, my brother in RL was a beta tester. He's playing a villain with ice-themed powers, primarily thief for hire and assassin, though he has participated in a few independent heists." I shrugged. "Well, we'll count the south handled for the moment. I'll head north and keep as many of Wehrmacht from getting down 75 into the city proper. Everyone good? All right. Webmistress has comms. No throwing away your life. If you can't hold, screen civilians as best you can while falling back. Go, and show why these asshats picked the wrong damn city to set up shop in." We broke, and each flew off in a different direction, with Temptress covering Webmistress as she set up a portal device. Wehrmacht. Okay. Do you find... Oh, okay, as a narrator, do you find sitting versus standing makes a difference? Yes, absolutely. So I sit while I'm doing this show because I like to relax a little more while I'm streaming, but if I'm actually recording, I'm always going to be standing. Sitting, no matter how good your posture is, sitting will constrict your diaphragm, your chest cavity and everything. So it's just that much less room to work with for projection, for flexibility and everything. So I always stand when I'm actually recording. Wehrmacht. Is it Wehrmacht? Yeah. Okay, let me make sure I remember these characters' names real quick. Temptress is the succubus. Okay, and Phantasma is the Scarlet O'Hara. Gotcha.
As I thought, Wehrmacht,
yeah.
Wehrmacht was goose-stepping down I-75, escorting a series of armored personnel carriers, and even a few goddamn tanks. I flew down and hit the front ranks like a glowing golden wrecking ball, plowing several over before they got crunched under the tracks of the lead tank. Coming to my feet, I swung my sword and neatly decapitated another of the Wehrmacht. It was only then that I noticed that they weren't even bothering to dress like National Guard. Don't know where they got the German uniforms, but it was pissing me off. So, like any sensible heroine, I decided to return the favor. "Hello, boys! Did you miss me?" That is when things got chaotic. The Wehrmachts might be duplicates, but they apparently still got an echo of what happened when one of them died. It wasn't enough to harm them, but seeing yourself get ripped in half by an angry dragon was not a fun experience, I'm sure. What that meant for me is that, while I was in the middle of their group, they weren't willing to start shooting willy-nilly because of friendly fire.
Sorry, guys. I wanted to get the chat back up here on my iPad because it's so much easier to deal with. There we go. And mocked is definitely not a southern word. It really isn't. Yes, sitting lets me enjoy 2 drinks, and yeah, that's true. As narrator, have you bought any of those tapes, etc., on different regional accents? Yes, actually, there's lots of lessons that I've bought to help me with my accents for sure. Just listening isn't enough. Like listening to other accents, I don't think is enough because it takes longer. Those lessons speed you up because they point out there's certain sounds and certain patterns in accents that you don't pick up or that are kind of hard to identify or hard to communicate. And so they'll point those things out, and then they give you like exercises and different phrases that are really helpful for practicing those particular sounds. So yeah, definitely if you're going to be narrating stuff, do your research on accents, get lessons. Yeah, they're expensive, but they're worth it because it just makes you more versatile. It makes you more able to do convincing voices from different regions. Okay.
Of course, this wasn't like the movies, where one person could melee an entire army unscathed. They may not have wanted to use guns, but they were more than happy to use knives, the butts of their rifles, and anything else they could do to try and bring me down. For the most part, it didn't work, and the few hits they did give me healed fast. But they had been pissed off enough at me that I had effectively frozen the group coming down I-75 and gotten the group coming down I-85 to divert to try and help out. Other heroes and villains were stepping up as well, but there were simply too many of the Wehrmacht. We were getting pushed back towards the city center.
Is there a lesson set for lizard and cat accents? No. But I plan on next year releasing my own lessons for lizard and cat accents. They will be available on my new website once that is up. Just $300 for each 10-minute MP3. No big deal. Very affordable. And you too can learn how to use lizard and cat accents. All right. Okay, what are these? Are like stat windows, I guess? Commander Thunder Falcon. Human. Augmented male. PL-12. Phantasma. Alien female. PL-10. Player level, I guess? Dark Titan. Artificial intelligence neuter. Neuter? Part 8.
Which, of course, is why the Idiot Brigade decided to make an appearance. Commander Thunder Falcon was far more pissed than the last time I saw him, probably because of me slamming him publicly. Phantasma was green-skinned and looked like a female version of a certain Justice League member. If her powers were anywhere similar, she could be trouble. And then there was Dark Titan. The poor guy was in a very impressive powered armor-type drone body, but it seemed to be having technical difficulties. If the jerky way it was flying was any indication. Just before they got into weapons range, Dark Titan self-destructed, sending both Phantasma and Thundy crashing to the ground. Chalk one up for Web Mistress. Thundy, for all his horrible naming sense, apparently had learned a couple things from watching Rebel Yell get his ass handed to him again and again. He didn't stop for cliché banter or to make threats about what he was going to do to me. No sooner was he on his feet again than he was sending what looked like a whole lot of electric death my way. Being quicker than the average bear, or racist nut job, whatever, I managed to twirl one of Wehrmacht's onto the path. Into the path of the ball lightning. That Wehrmacht simply ceased to be as the white-hot electric attack suddenly opened up into a blast wave. The nearby Wehrmacht was wiped out, and the ones outside of the blast...
Water.
Rosetta Stone, glab. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna start this whole paragraph over because I was just stumbling all over the place.
Being quicker than the average bear, or racist nut job, whatever, I managed to twirl one of Wehrmacht's into the path of the ball lightning. That Wehrmacht simply ceased to be as the white-hot electric attack suddenly opened up into a blast wave. The nearby Wehrmacht was wiped out, and the ones outside of the blast radius seemed staggered after that attack. Which was good, because it threw me into the side of one of the tanks, coughing up blood. I only just managed to get to mist form before Phantasma completed her foot-first dive-bombing attack, clearly intended to put a hole in my chest. Unfortunately for me, she went intangible and was somehow able to grab hold of me, throwing me into the center of the charred area of concrete where Thundy's attack had gone off. Groaning, I got to my feet, going solid again, and despite myself, I grinned like a maniac. Oh, good job! You two are officially the second group to hurt me. Sorry, Fanny, but Stonewall's attack was a lot better than yours. And Thundy, I know we talked about this last time, but you really need to work on a name that doesn't sound like an 8th grade student had delusions of grandeur. Thundy growled.
It is Commander Thunder Falcon, whore, not Thundy, and you're going to pay for what you've done. Once I'm through with you, you're going to be begging to get sent for a reset on a new server.
Fanny also did not seem amused by her new nickname. And you will tell us what you did with Rebel Yell and the others.
Not quite.
And you will tell us what you did with Rebel Yell and the others, so they can be recovered and brought to witness your defeat. I laughed and said, Oh, wow! 2 great setups, but I guess I'll just respond to both of them. No, I won't. You two might be able to hurt me, but you can't stop me. Now, I think this time it is my turn to lead. No? And with that, I flew at Commander Thunder Falcon like a missile.
All right. Whew, that one was rough. But thank you for requesting it because it was also fun. I like it when people challenge me with crazy voices. Narrating as Foxy Brown, was it? Foxy Love was fun. I didn't quite get it right as far as the voice. I think her voice is higher and scratchier, but I had to find a more somewhere comfortable since it was a narration, since I was narrating the whole time. All right, so thanks again, Stuart Grosse, for requesting your City of Champions. And next last but not least, Quest into Hidden Realms by Tom Gallier. Oh, we got a question. When doing production work, how many hours a day can you work without killing your voice? How many pages a day? Okay, so pages, I don't know. But I can probably do 6 hours in the booth before my voice is done. I almost never actually, because I'm so busy with doing all sorts of stuff, I almost never get to actually spend 6 hours in the booth, but that's about my cutoff. I don't do 6 hours at a time. I'll do like 3 or 4 hours, take a break, and then 2 or 3 more. But yeah, it's not because I can't keep working, but the quality of my voice begins to deteriorate. So even if I wanted to do more than 6 hours a day, it just would sound like shit after that 6 hours. I would say even get at the like 5 to 5.5 hour mark, you can hear a little bit of deterioration. But I try not to get to that point. You got to keep drinking water. You got to stay hydrated and take care of your voice while you're doing that kind of heavy lifting as far as VO work. But yeah, that's 6 hours is about the limit, and that's like 3.5 hours of finished audio right there. All right, so yes, on to Quest into Hidden Realms. Here it is. All right, so we got more character direction. Thank you. I love you guys when you do character direction. All right, to set up the scene. Killam is a human battle mage with the dwarf Rand. What? Okay. In the previous scene, they came upon their friends being threatened under a cliff by a troll. While Rand distracted the troll, Killam climbed to the top of the cliff and threw a basketball-sized rock on the troll's head. They thought the troll was dead. Oh no, why are you doing this? There we go. There we go. No, actually, I didn't even tell people that free audiobooks were available. I forgot. So I guess request them if you want them. Got five available. Life Reset just came out. So did Kingdom of Heaven 2, Escape from Hell. That's out too. So and if you haven't, so I'll give out Life Reset and either one of the Kingdom of Hell books. Kingdom of Heaven books. Okay. While Rand distracted the troll, Killam climbed to the top of the cliff and threw a basketball-sized rock on the troll's head. They thought the troll was dead, but when Killam claimed the troll's sword, the monster sat up and thrust his spear through him. Killam managed to thrust the sword through the troll's throat at the same time, so both died. Killam will fade away and respawn somewhere else. The text in red, bold, is the game telling them something with a pop-up message that only they can see. Voice would be an enthusiastic young man. Okay. Anyone referred to as a mob is a computer-generated person or creature. Okay. So Killam is a human battle mage. Didn't really describe his character very much. Okay. Fergus is a tall, blonde elven ranger, and in real life, he's a 39-year-old store manager. His passion is playing the game and can be a little snobby, but he loves to tease Rand. Rand is a red-headed dwarf warrior, but a college student in real life. Deep voice. He loves to fight monsters and win loot. He's a typical college boy and likes to tease and hit on all the women. Tiana is a red-headed thief in the game and an accountant in real life. She lives to play the game as a thief and loves all of her in-game friends. Good sense of humor. Asha is not in this scene, just mentioned, but she is an elven sorceress. She was the first to pass into the new realm and where they were all spawned in different locations, but close together. They are all trapped inside the game, but don't realize it yet. Mobs start at level 1 and work their way up with life, while players start at level 10. Personal actions pushed both mobs and players either toward the dark, evil, or the light, goodness. PK equals player kills, and only killing players registers. Killam died at the close of the last scene. This scene is from Fergus's first-person POV. Okay, Fergus is tall, blonde, elven ranger, 39-year-old store manager. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 9. Alright, so Fergus, I'm going to use Jason from Delvers for Fergus. For Rand, I'll use Frank from Dead Stare. Let's see, who else was he? He was in Life Reset as, crap, what's his name? He was the bigger brother of the two goblin players. Let's see. What else has he been? Frank. He's Frank. Let's see. Tiana, redheaded thief. We'll use, who's good for Tiana? I'll figure it out when I get to her. Killam slowly crumbled to the ground. Fergus looked at the troll, now with a sword thrust through his throat. The fact that the mob survived the rock to the head was worrisome. "Are the monsters harder to kill in this realm?" Fergus asked. Rand shrugged. "I killed a wolf with my bare hands." Nope, that's not him. "I killed a wolf with my bare hands, but then I am a powerful dwarf warrior after all." The ranger looked over Rand's head at Tiana, who returned his gaze with amused eyes. She shrugged, and he shook his head woefully. Rand was a character. Maybe it wasn't an act. Maybe the dwarf really believed it. Fergus looked around and found everything very believable. "I'll take the sword, since I'm the only one large enough to wield it," Fergus said. They all stopped and watched Killam's body fade away. His club was all that remained. Rand quickly snatched it up as his own. I get his purse," Tiana cried, darting forward. Fergus didn't see a purse. Besides, where would any of them get a coin purse so quickly? But then she moved past the battle mage's death spot and climbed up onto the troll's body. "Be careful, girl! That mob probably has virtual fleas and lice," Fergus said. "He smells rancid."
"Oh my god, you're right. I can actually smell him."
Tiana turned delighted eyes back at him.
"This realm is amazing."
The thief waved her hand before her screwed-up face.
"He smells worse than one of Rand's battle farts."
She reached down to the dead mob's waist and pulled away a leather coin purse. Tiana poured the contents out in her palm.
"Yes! 21 copper shekels and 2 silvers. I'm rich!"
That was interesting. This realm had trolls interacting with other races, similar to how it went down in the previous realm. In cities, trolls traded with others, but killed and ate them in the countryside. So it was another lawless realm. Fergus grinned. "This is going to be so much fun." Do you think Killam will return to this spot? Rand asked. Or go to Oxenbluff?
He might come back here, since it's on the way to the town, Fergus said, but I'm not going to wait. We'll just be wasting our time here if he goes straight to Oxenbluff. I agree, Tiana said. I'm eager to reach any town so I can start leveling up and working on my skills. She turned to Rand. So, have you or Killam seen Asha? Asha? Asha?
No, she came over first, so might already be in Oxenbluff.
Fergus couldn't argue that point. Her spawn site might even be close to that town, or on the other side of the town. After all, his admin just said everyone was spawned in this valley, not where. The ranger led the way back into the forest. He quickly found a game trail, making it easier to travel. As best he could tell, he was the only one who looked for game trails. The others just smashed through the forest like barbarians, making a god-awful amount of noise. Only Asha, a fellow elf, seemed able to traverse forests effortlessly. He assumed she was still an elven sorceress in this new realm, so really could already be in Oxenbluff.
Already be there if I didn't have first Tiana and now Rand holding me back.
The game trail didn't follow the river, but drew close at different points. It was going in the right direction, so Fergus stuck to it. He set a brutal pace for poor Rand, and soon had the dwarf huffing and puffing. Tiana fared a little better.
Let's take a break next to this creek, Rand called.
The creek ran through the middle of a small clearing where a mighty oak had fallen. The remnants of the ancient tree could just be made out in the knee-high grass, but it left a nice opening high enough to see for many miles.
Tiana looks tired.
The thief didn't correct him, so Fergus stopped. They all took their fill of the cool, sweet water. Then they sat on the rotting trunk, Tiana in the middle, and studied the land to the west. Hazy purple mountains were off in the distance, with rolling hills as far as the eye could see. They couldn't see the river, but there were a lot of birds of prey gliding above it. And then he saw it.
Dragon, level 26. Neutral.
Is that really a dragon? Fergus asked, rising to his feet. He studied the tiny figure flying in the distance.
That's amazing. And I think there's a rider upon it. Your eyes are better than mine, Tiana said. I can see the dragon, but it's too far away to make out anyone riding it.
Killam and I came across a giant nest atop a hill, Rand said. We heard something inside it, so didn't check it out, but it was big enough to be a dragon's nest.
Do dragons make nests? Tiana asked.
Fergus shrugged.
The game designers can have them do anything they want, but it does seem odd to have dragons nest like birds.
Well, maybe so, Rand said. Killam also said he spotted some guys on a flying carpet following the river northward.
Wow, we seem to have more than one option to fly in this realm, Fergus said. Personally, I'd prefer the flying carpet. I know. A dragon might eat you, Tiana replied.
No, Fergus is such a sourpuss he would upset the dragon's stomach, Rand said.
He winked at Tiana. His eyes looked her up and down, lingering on her breasts.
But I bet you'd be delicious.
I'll poke an eyeball out if you keep leering at me like that, she said.
But I think we can actually do it in this realm,
Rand said. He scooted a little closer, which made Tiana slide away a bit.
Our bodies are perfectly formed and capable of doing anything here that we can do in real life.
That sucks for you, Tiana said, because I wouldn't sleep with you in the real world either.
Rand and Fergus chuckled. Tiana gave them both dirty looks.
I admire your tenacity, dwarf, but one of these days you're going to go too far and Tiana or Asha is going to slay you, Fergus said. I hope I'm there to witness it.
At least I'm man enough to try.
You're not a man, the ranger said. You are a dwarf.
Screw you.
Just like Tiana, I won't sleep with you either, Fergus said. He started laughing. But thanks for the love.
Oh, Ian wants one. Tiana burst out laughing. Rand scowled at them, but soon even he couldn't keep from laughing. Then the dwarf lifted a leg and ripped out a loud fart. That sent the other two rushing upwind. Fergus veered back to the game trail, waving for them to follow. They weren't going to reach Oxenbluff before dark by sitting on their butts. "We need to figure out how we can level up, gain some skills, and get better weapons," Fergus said. "This realm seems to be a little more difficult in those areas."
"I like harder," Rand said. "It makes the game more interesting. But they did go a little overboard on the realistic aspects of this world."
"Right now, I'm only interested in something to eat," Tiana replied. "My stomach is growling. Seriously, it sounds like an angry cat."
Stabby. You guys. Fergus slanted a look at her. He was hungry, but not that hungry. But the longer they played, the more realistic that realm seemed. It made him wonder how painful Killam's death was when the troll thrust a huge spear through his heart. "Maybe not every aspect of enhanced reality is good," he muttered. He checked his map. "The town seems to be just a few miles away. We'll find a pub or tavern and wait for Killam and Asha. Tiana's buying, since she has money. Once we're all together, then we can set up a time to meet up and start exploring this place." He was getting tired. Fergus would rather eat in real life than in the game. Besides, he needed some time to contemplate the new realm. There had to be something on the internet about it, and maybe he could find some hacks to improve his lot in the game.
"It'll be epic," Rand said. "The mob bards will be singing my name within a month."
Fergus picked up the pace. Rand groaned, but said nothing. Even Tiana sounded like she was struggling to keep up. He didn't care. Reaching town was imperative. Hopefully, Asha would already be there. Then they'd only have to wait for Killam to join them. Less than half an hour later, they walked out of the woods and into the farmland. The town could be seen in the distance, atop a bluff over the river. A dark, smoky haze hovered over Oxenbluff.
Lots of peasant farmer mobs," Tiana said. "Maybe I can steal a few purses."
The ranger didn't answer. None of the farmers were on the road. And what a road. If it wasn't for the ox cart ruts, he'd never call it a road. Also, fields were separated by low stone walls, which also lined the road all the way to the town. And it was the crookedest road he'd ever seen. It was late afternoon when they reached Oxenbluff. Well, technically, they reached the suburbs. Really, it was a dirty-looking shanty town. All of the structures looked haphazardly thrown together. Nothing was over 2 stories high, and few even bothered with a second floor. He could see wide stretches of blackened ruin where buildings recently burned down. Even the muddy streets were black with ash.
"I swear, every fantasy race is represented here," Tiana said. "I see elves, drows, an ogre, and even a pair of orcs."
"Yeah, don't look, but some goblins are following us," Fergus whispered. "I don't think they want to welcome us to town, either."
"I saw them. They were all sitting in a beer garden we passed," Tiana said. "They definitely plan to rob us. I'm missing my enchanted mantle big time."
Fergus studied the streets and the people crowded with those twisting, narrow corridors. It would be hard to run through that packed humanity. He glanced at their pursuit. "Goblin Warrior, Level 2, -1 Dark. Goblin Hunter, Level 7, -9 Dark, PK 5. Goblin Farmer, Level 4, -2 Dark, PK 1. And those were just the ones in front. Very dark, with way too many PKs for such low levels. Not a good sign. "They're closing on us," he said, pointing at the town gate. "We have to reach the gate before they catch us." The path to the gate was not obvious. Time was running out, and with only him having a real weapon, it didn't look good. Okay, so that's it. Another one that, I feel like the dialogue could be really good. It just needs a little bit of editing. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But otherwise, interesting start. All right, you guys have been chatting. Stabby Fairy, yes, does sound like a porn character. Drunk Goblins. Okay. And that's it, I guess. That's the 3 requests for today. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Looks like we're only giving away 2 audiobooks today, but that's fine. Ian's and who else asked? Was it Truffle? Yep, Truffle. Truffle and Ian. Y'all getting some audiobooks, so thanks for requesting. Thanks for coming again. Not sure when the next one's going to be. I mean, maybe Wednesday. Maybe I'll do something Wednesday. I didn't do an SBTL on Delvers 3. And I didn't... So maybe I'll do one for that. I don't know. It's just it's hard to find the time. I'm leaving for Texas Friday morning. So I don't know, I might have to postpone. I'm going to see what anyone else is doing for next Sunday. I'll see if I can get a couple narrators to do a Sound Booth Theater Live instead of me on next Sunday. We'll see. I'm going to Dallas, Texas because, oh, by the way, guys, I'm going to start getting into anime dubs. I don't know if I told you guys about this. I don't know if I've said that on the show yet. But yeah, here's my announcement. Next year, I'm going to try really hard to get into anime dubs. So I'm going to Texas, where they do a lot of anime dubbing. And I'm getting a character demo done. I'm taking a workshop with a really well-established voice actress. Mainly just to meet people, you know. I'm meeting up with my new buddy, Cliff Zellman, who I met at FAFCon in North Carolina. Yeah, Funimation is in Dallas, so that's kind of who I'm targeting. But I'm excited for it because what I really want to do is expand my fan base, and anime fans are literally that, fanatics. They are absolutely awesome. So once I start doing anime dubs, my name is going to get out there. I'm going to start getting fans from elsewhere, and I'm going to try and sell audiobooks to those people. That's my goal. Anime dubs don't pay as well as, you know, a lot of other VO work, but it's bound to be fun. It's bound to be a challenge. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time in Texas. Because I've never been there, but it's always seemed like the kind of place that I would like, you know, the kind of culture that I would like. So, yeah, Dallas, Texas, and plus it's like really cheap to live out there in the Dallas area. So, yeah, they will be sending me to cons, by the way. Once I get established and do some characters that get a lot of attention. Yeah, they're going to be sending me to conventions, and that's my big goal right there, is to interact more with fans and just be more in public so that I can draw more people to the Sound Booth Theater. So yeah, that's that, guys. That's the show. I guess Danny will be setting up a new poll for your requests, but keep in mind that the next requests only, I want to keep doing. I want to have a couple of the other narrators for Sound Booth Theater do it. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be getting good stuff for actual dual narration. But anyway, that's the show. Thanks, guys. I'll get those audiobooks to you, and see you around.